And so what do? We must put in them the values, the skills, the whatever input that will make them to do what we want them to do, what we believe is in their best interest, even when nobody is watching.
Well, I think,
and that is what ethics is all about.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, look, I think the question that Kingsley posed is quite fundamental. You know, like as is rightly said, it's provocative. Those that are looting, who are in power at the moment, well, those who are supposedly well nurtured by their parents, none of them less than 50, 60 or more years, those who have been ruling this country since 1999, who are culprits of looting. Some of them are jailed. Some of them perhaps are not really, have not been jailed. Maybe they are smart or lucky or whatever it is. But many are looting. And these are people who are supposed to have been brought up well in the 50s and 60s, even before the 70s. So that is what Kingsley is talking about. And he says it borders on generational transmission of values, that may have failed. Because in one adage in my place says, look, a young man whose father was a thief grows to become an armed robber. The father didn't grow up with arms, just a thief, but he will grow, he will add value to that, and become an armed robber. So now what we are getting is that those who are running the affairs of the nation, who were children those days and have grown up to become looters and other things, now what do you expect of their own children? That's what Kingsley is talking about, generational transfer. And that's why I want to bring you in here now. So where have we gone wrong?
I want to feel that in our society, the desire to get rich quick, and also the fact that we celebrate riches without questioning how any person got to where they have come. For instance, nobody has even remembered to mention kidnapping. Kidnapping, which is stopping us from going to our villages to do service to the people and what have you. And these are people who are known in society. If you see a community where kidnapping takes place, chances are that one or two persons know who these bad boys are, and they are protecting them, maybe because they pay those people to protect them, or because they don't, society is not caring because they are not particularly involved. When you have a politician come, give promises, go back there, makes the money, and besides, recently there was some talk about the earnings of politicians. I'm surprised that the press has also dropped it. The huge gap between what the politicians earn for the job they do in a few days and the regular people who are at work is also an issue for this country. Somebody comes in with a lot of money, throws it around, nobody is bothered. Instead, they get chieftaincy titles. So the young boys on the street want to get rich quick and also earn the titles and also do this and that. And there are no, there's no upsurge in community to reject these things to the extent that whoever does it is named and shamed. So people just continue to go on because they know they can get away with things. We were brought up well. We also have tried to bring up our own children, but there are exceptions to these rules, and these people who have made effort are probably few in society. I can give personal examples. I have a grandson that when you tune on the television and it's the channel that the parents have told him not to watch, he said, "Grandma, Mommy doesn't allow me to watch this." And he either runs away or you are forced to tune it off. So I think that we need to get back to the skin of our children, our grandchildren, society in general, and try to instill these values that we think are what we should have. We should relate with them in such a way that we give them examples of life. We teach them, we tell them what is wrong and how it should be, so that they may get back on track. Very many people are off track. Parents who would, for instance, well, I'm a Muslim, and there's this thing about marry 1, 2, 3, or 4. In fact, I'm so thrilled by what Sanusi said at that, Lamido Sanusi said at that conference. He said, who says you must have 4 if you cannot take care of them, if you cannot take care of the children? And they also advanced to the fact that policies must be made by government to stop some of these things. If you find that young boy on the street, you do not catch the young boy. Look for the parents of the young boy and catch the parents and teach parents that they must take responsibility for children that they have brought to life. By the time we begin to catch the parents who have left children on the streets, parents will sit up. Parents will do their job. Parents will orient the children as to what is good for them and what is good for society.
Almost invariably, I mean, part of what we are referencing here is that, okay, we have a generational challenge now to, as Sergio said, reconstruct our relationships with our children. There's no question about it. We are not generalizing. There are many personal examples amongst all of us here of how we have raised our children and how others who are watching us are also raising their children, you know, teaching them to walk in the light so that it will be a much better society. But the aggregate of our national experience is such that we find, you know, behaviors that indicate the huge moral deficit in our society.
There's a reason for that.
That's why policies
Not just policy. Let's not.
There's a reason for that.
No, let's not source. I want to bring in Mete now, Sergio. Just hang on a second. It is the aggregate that we are looking at. I mean, people are driving. You have it's in an environment where you have success without hard work. You know, don't blame poverty. People were poor in the past, but they had dignity.
They had integrity.
And dignity and integrity. They would go to work. They knew the value of hard work and how to reap from that, and they had peace of mind. So what do we need to do? Because the challenge is more of the generation now of parents. Because you can just hold on a second to properly contextualize it. If things were to continue the way they are, and God granting us good health and long life, in our old age, what are we going to face?
Well, if we continue the way we are going, I do not think that the generation of parents will be living in peace, because you will not have space to live in peace. So the point you have made and the point you are hammering on, which is very apt and very true, is that if we claim and accept that our parents raised us well and our own children are not turning out like us, whose fault is it? Because it cannot be the fault of our parents. And I think that's the point you're making, which I agree with completely. If yours is good and mine is not good, mine will come after you and yours. And so it means the problem belongs to all of us. It's common to all of us. So you cannot say because your child listens to you. And sometimes even in a family, you could have 3, 4 children, and then one is different. And that one that is different is the one you're supposed to chase, is the one you're supposed to go after, and not make announcements of the 3 that are good. Because if that one is not good, he's coming after you, your wife, and the 3 others, and any other person or thing that is around it. And that is the point they are making. And I think we should focus on that fact that it is indeed a national problem. It is not just for one person. Therefore, what should we do? There were things our parents did, and we became what we are. What are we doing that is not right? Some of the issues that have been raised here already, some of us are guilty of it. You come home with things that you cannot explain to your child. You say you are a director. Your child knows, has an idea of what you earn or something, maybe in a conversation. And you come with things. Today you are living in Maitama, tomorrow you are in Asokoro, and then you are able to send them to certain places. And then those sense of entitlement, you know, those sense of entitlement begin to rub off on them. And in fact, to add to this conversation, during our time, the information we get outside the family was limited because there was no technology. Anything you knew was sitting in front of the TV from 5:30 to 11, and that was the end of it. And you had parents sitting down with you, holding conversation on whatever you are watching. But today, it's not so. Everybody has a television in their room. Everybody has an iPad, a laptop, and they are all listening and watching what they want. Even underage children. The law says 18. So from 18, if you commit an offense, you are going to fall foul of the law. They are going to arrest you and treat you as a criminal, not a juvenile. And so even at home, we should begin to treat them like that. You go to the school and you pay for things, and your child comes out of school. Why would you think he wants to work to earn anything? And these are the people we are raising. You tell your child, look, write an application and drop it at NTA, that when there's employment, they will pick you up. And the child will tell you that no, they will not do that. That there are places where they pay better than NTA, so why should I go and work there? My friend's father did this and that and got it. So I think we should own this, the problem, because the problem appears to be happening under our watch, not under the watch of our parents. So we cannot get good things and not be able to transfer. If you were one family transferred and the other family didn't, it is collective, because you are just throwing the same kind of people into the society. So we should watch ourselves. What do you do? What do you give your children that you cannot afford? And so when they grow up, what do? They have uncles and they have aunts, and they come to the house. They see that everybody eulogizes those people who are doing the wrong thing. I mean, the children just pick that person as a role model, and all he or she does is to say, I want to look like auntie who is doing the wrong thing. Are we not all family? So if family is not just one person, it means whatever your child learns, your child has learned from you. And so if there's a failure, it is our failure. So we should look at it and deal with it.
I think if I put it even more succinctly, the truth is that as a society, first we're living a life of lies. We're not living a life of truth. People who work harder earn less than people who do very little work. That cannot be, you cannot use that to configure a very sane society. People who are high up are the ones that break all the laws and get away with it. You cannot configure a society that is correct in that direction. We have a system in this country that, you know, does not protect rights, does not encourage responsibilities. Rather, we only protect privileges. You know, you are protected if you are privileged. You are not protected if you are not privileged.
Who is operating this system? A system is not an abstract.
It's the society itself.
No, what is society? That's what we are discussing.
It's at the level of leadership. Let's put it very.
And in every family, we are a leader. You are a leader in your family. I'm a leader.
We have failed to provide leadership at all levels.
Yes.
Family level, societal level,
school level,
the school level, community level, and at national level. People, we are configuring a society that is lopsided, a society that is. Look at the hegemonies we are creating now. If you go to our system now, only the children of uniformed people find themselves into the uniformed services, which is terrible. Only children of senior civil servants find themselves into civil service. Only children of certain privileged class get into certain privileged responsibility. When you are constructing a society based on this kind of distortion, this kind of exclusiveness, what do you expect from that society? What values are you transmitting? You know, when we were growing up, you know it and I know it. You rise within society based on your performance. You get to the schools, you get to based on your performance. Nobody pays money because he has money for you to attend a particular school. Today, everybody, even the teachers in public schools, send their children to private schools. They don't even believe in the places where they themselves are the teachers. You know, we have all manner of lies. Somebody earns, you say minimum wage is 30,000 naira, and you are expecting a person who collects 30,000 naira to go and rent a house in Abuja here at the minimum of 500 and 600. You know it's a lie. And the guy, you know, the 30,000 naira, for example, cannot take him round the whole month. We all know this. But we are promoting, you know, our policies, our laws, our systems are all configured not to build an egalitarian society. And if you do not build an egalitarian society, you cannot expect that society to be stable.
Yeah, thank you. Listen, gentlemen, we're going to take a short break now. You know, but when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. But those are two issues. You know, when you say parents, I think there are two categories of parents now. You know, let me put it that way, because recall the incident in Lagos where a parent, you know, fought on behalf of her daughter, who was wearing artificial eyelashes and wearing a high school uniform, trying to, you know, and it was like a fight. The mother stood up for her, you know, publicly too, right? And again, another story, also from the southwest of Nigeria, where a parent and her son planned and killed the boy's girlfriend for ritual. You know, so this parenting is something else. For now, let's take a short break. When we get back, we'll continue our conversation.
We are
Burnley leaving them just 2 points above relegation. Will Bournemouth revive their hopes of an EPL stay, or will the downward spiral continue? Find out this weekend as Bournemouth hosts Chelsea at the Vitality Stadium and the Premier League Live, showing on NTA Network. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Coca-Cola and Axis Bank.
My name is Balaunti. I'm the Managing Director of Petroleum Product Marketing Company, a subsidiary of NNPC. There are significant price discrepancy between Nigeria and its neighbors across Africa. There's a discrepancy of between 150 to 250 naira. That creates an incentive for arbitrage, whereby smuggling triumphed by taking petroleum product across the neighbors so that they can be sold at higher price. While the smugglers are making the money, Nigeria is paying for it. And that payment is distorting everything that we do in terms of planning, in terms of our ability to fund, and thereby taking money that is meant for development. The introduction of this Operation White will have a reduction of close to 6 million liters on a daily basis, which it will take an average of 150, translate to a saving of over 1 billion naira every day. That is the benefit of Operation White, and we have started seeing the great benefit.
Can I see your particulars, sir?
Officer, my particulars no dey here.
In that case, you'll have to come with me to the police station.
Officer, which levels? Where I for find you something make you take arrange your weekend.
What? Offense number 1, driving without particulars. Offense number 2, trying to bribe an officer of the law.
I won't harass Nigerians or take bribe. Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you live on Africa's largest television network, the Nigerian Television Authority. Let's return to our guest now, Mrs. Ima Kwabio. We're trying to respond to the issue on the table before we went on that short break.
Yes. Everything good or bad looks for an opportunity to blossom. It's when you create the opportunity, the enabling environment, it does. So what we need to do is to enlarge the coast of resistance. There's so much connivance of silence. We are talking connivance of silence. Then we need to resist what is not right. Meaning we need to build capacity. We need to mobilize. We need to build capacity of leadership. We need to build capacity for the family. We need to build capacity of professionals, because no act of misconduct can take place without a professional failing to comply with a professional standard. We need to consciously begin to build capacity, because capacity is everything. Now for the family, what should the family be thinking of? What areas should be addressed? Now, if we want to resist or to insist on transparency and demand accountability as a right, what do we do? How do we mobilize? And when you mobilize, you form yourselves in groups. What capacity do you build for those groups? That's in terms of information, in terms of direction, in terms of leadership, so that the groups can function effectively. It is when the environment is enabling, then things go, the toxic value, and you know what toxicity, toxic values, they seep into the environment and destroy everything on the path. And that's exactly, so we must check and resist the expansion of toxic values by enlarging the coast of resistance and building capacity at different levels.
All right. We have some tweets here, from Nigerians who are interested in this conversation, who are also trying to make their own contribution. We'll begin with DW Nigeria Limited. A true inculcation of family values is a reflection of a country's national development. And I think values seem to be jeopardized according to generations. I didn't get that. I don't know what that means. For instance, Nigeria, in the post-independence years, people value family ethics, which you see reflected in national life.
Now, the Shantos, Oluwasegun Michael, family values are lost due to poverty, no self-fulfillment, no happy marriage, and 2, family values are lost due to wrong educational concept, and development ordinarily is a collective effort, which law enforcement agencies must support all willing citizens.
Derek Solomon says, in order to forestall future occurrence in insurgency activities in Nigeria, it is necessary for families to ensure that child-parent attachment and emotional support in the family is not lacking, so that individuals do not become miscreants in the society and tools used by deviants to disrupt national development in the Nigerian society.
Joseph, the family value is a panacea to national development. The government needs to invest in family education as it was in the past. Now, this will go a long way in redirecting our young ones.
Okay, Udo, the society is a reflection of the various family values, and such values can make or mar the society at large. Unfortunately, the negative values are more contagious than the positive ones. Families have quit role modeling of worlds to social media and teachers in pursuit of money.
One Google Silvanos. Now, talking about family values with regard to development, we are indeed referring to the foundational ethics, philosophy, and ethos of a people that form their vision and mission, that in turn control their opinions on issues of life that rule their character and behavior.
Mike Ayako, you can't talk about national development without mentioning the importance of family values. Two of them. A person with good family upbringing is a very good asset to the society, because he or she will be exhibiting high morals in all facets of activities and endeavors.
All right, Sajid Abba Tuko, a nation's development is measured through human development. Government should develop its citizens by giving them basic education and providing them with amenities. Now, this would help parents to think positively and teach their children about patriotism and national development.
Titus Mondenok. Family is the core fabric of any society, and once the key religious, character, and moral values are eroded, the entire society would feel the brunt. Unfortunately, this is what is happening today, because most families today have thrown away these key values in the family settings.
Chris Simeon, family values and national development go hand in hand. Family values shape and transform our societies, but if they are neglected, our societies suffer serious setback, and national development is truncated thereby.
Comrade Alaji Ngala, charity begins at home. Education is the key to success and national development. Parents should send their children to school.
This is coming from Inusa Adamo. First step in fighting corruption and making Nigeria great again is family values.
First, family values are key to national development and a responsible society. Whether we want our country to develop or tackle crime, drug addiction, or improving education outcomes, the answer should always begin with family. It's time government at all levels invest in strengthening families.
Amagwala Humbabs, in primary school, we are taught that the family is a unit of society. Then we were also taught that parental upbringing would always have an effect, expectedly positive, on the manner and behavior of a people. Today, this very foundation has been lost.
Bashiru, although good family values may correlate what national development is, advanced countries may provide us a clue. All sorts of immoral acts occur there, yet they are developed. The answer lies in strong institutions capable of taming any predatory or deviant behavior.
Now, Thomas Umbango says, no family, no nation. The family is the smallest unit in the nation. Whatever traits we have found in our national life are transmitted from the family. To get things right towards national development, the reorientation should start at the family level.
Festus Akimbo, there's no doubt that the breakdown of family values such as respect for elders, discipline, responsibility, hard work, and reward for hard work is having a terrible impact on our national development. Time to strengthen families.
Oladimeji Morufu, now we need to add value to our family setup in order for us to facilitate nation building. Okay, so those are the tweets that we have. Of course, in the course of this conversation, Kirian and ladies and gentlemen, you referred in passing to the agencies of socialization. The family, of course, is basic, school, places of worship, that is to say churches, mosques, or otherwise. And the strong institutions that one of the tweets earlier referred to. But our principal focus, of course, today is on the family as the basic unit of society and what we need to start doing from that point of origin before the other agencies come. We cannot outsource. That's the point you have all articulated. Outsource parenting to the school. Let my teacher handle, let the teacher handle this one, or let the government handle that. Sometimes, you know, we're talking about the developed countries. Let's say that there are some societies, for example, that are also very violent abroad. And the message is that if you don't take care of your child, then that child is likely to end up on the street, and they're going to be gunned down. And the next thing is a deep six. But here we are. I want to bring in Dr. Rekia Momo Abaji one more time. What, in your opinion, are those things that we can now begin to do in addition to what has been suggested as a family unit for us to reclaim our lives, for us to reclaim our values? Somebody said sometime, I mean, I know it probably sounds impossible, the fear that people have, and they say, what is going to happen tomorrow? There's no safety net. If I don't accumulate this one now, what will happen? You accumulate it, you die in the first generation. Within that generation, the money, the entire thing is blown away. What do we need to do to say, look, you know, life one step at a time, and we all live in a much happier environment, rather than everybody now barricading him or herself in a prison?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that we, the family unit feeds into the community, community feeds into the society, and then the larger society. I think we need to recapture our space. I think we need to consciously invest in our families, in the quality time we spend with our children, we spend with our spouses, so that the telephones are regulated and people have space when they use those things. So we have to go back to bonding and rebonding with our families. But one thing I have come to see from the way we are discussing, this issue, this theme is actually out of our hands, so to say. So it must have to be all hands on deck. We have traditional rulers who man places. They should take it as a duty to see that they clean up their own environments. We have government at various levels, states, local, and the federal. They have to come in. We have to punish people who commit offense of any type, so that it becomes a deterrent to other people. So, and that takes me to mentioning the fact that we must have policies of government that dissuade people from behaving in certain ways. Just as we need to revive policies in the home that we keep our children on track. You know.
Okay, okay, right. Let's bring back Mate Adekobi, who is of the National Orientation Agency. What should be the role of institutions of socialization, as you raised earlier, churches, mosques, schools, and what have you? Because invariably, they have a role to play in nurturing a child, you know. And we need to know, in fact, these days, we have very, very not pleasant stories when it comes to people who establish their own places of worship, for instance. Pastors, for instance, stories we hear about what they do in churches and all of that is also part of the problem that we have. I don't want to go into details of that, but I'm just citing it because, of course, we know that there are fake ones around, operating around, who also have very attractive church buildings, you know, where people go to, families go to, and what have you. And one wonders what kind of orientation, what kind of teaching are they getting from that? If the teaching does not reflect the real family values we're talking about, then it is nonsensical. Now, what should be the role of these institutions?
Well, I think whether places of worship, whether places of studies, as institutions of engendering change and all that, it must start from the family. The family first must know what they want. For you to go into a place of worship, you are not dragged into those spaces. So as a family, what is your expectation? You must have an expectation. You must have something you want such places to offer. And so if you go in there and you do not find that, you are not under any obligation to remain there. You should move out, because it is not meeting need and it's not adding any value. If you are a gullible person and you go into a place where they tell you if you bring 100,000, when they pray you will get this, you will do that. So it's your gullibility that has gotten you there. It's not what the person said, because the book you are reading did not say so. If it is in your Quran or it is in your Bible that God said, if such a thing happened, it will work, then it means you're following a book. Because we all have something we are following, just like the Constitution. Whatever the laws say is your rights, your duties and obligation is in the Constitution. And so if somebody drags you out of it, you begin to quote the Constitution. It's the same thing with going to school. You take your child to a school and you find out that your expectation for your children are not met in that school, whether public or private. You have a right to remove. Now, your sensitivity is expected to be at play here, because if you are not paying attention, you will not even know if your child is learning new tricks from school. You will not even know if the child is learning new tricks from the church or from the mosque when he goes for his Islamic studies. You don't even know what is happening, whether the parents like it or not. Bottom line, that parents must keep their eyes on their words, on their children, so that if nothing, your child comes back from school and is carrying something, because you do not check your child's bag. We were checked, and I checked mine, because you open your child's bag and you see something that is not yours, his or hers, and you ask, you say, who gave you this? You are not doing that, and you're saying, oh, in that school, they allow children to steal. Who allows who to steal? Because you didn't teach your child. So I think in all these institutions of change we are talking about, it still boils down to who the parents are. Your gullibility is also at play. You cannot read a book and the book tells you one thing and somebody is practicing another and you are following. What are you following for, except that you yourself has some mischievous intention? And like we have already said, we must hold ourselves responsible for where we are right now, and whatever it takes to correct it. If you know what your father told you and it was right and got you to this place, why is your child not doing that? So return to those things and do it, because you must be doing something wrong. You can't be coming home with things that your child, if your child asks you, Daddy, what happened? You can't even say, oh, I went on tour for 10 days and so they paid us monies, so that's why I have done this shopping and all that. Every day you come with a new thing, you come with a strange thing, and you think your child won't do that. If we are role models, our children will model themselves after us. So if you are modeling wrongly, your child is emulating. If you are modeling rightly, the child is following, because they follow what they see, not even what you say.
Okay.
There's a standard process of getting results. Now, if you discover that you are facing stiff competition or opposition, then you need to reflect and re-strategize. What do we do? Now, in the case of our parents, they did not face the challenge of us, the children, having to compete with a lot of electronic issues and things like that. Now, if this is what is going on here and information reaches people with speed, and where there are no good foundations, they are just, into the current and so on. So what do we do? It means you need to strategize. What do you need to do? At the family level, family must be strategic in whatever education they want to give children at that level. The capacities, which means parents must begin to reflect and also take advantage of opportunities to build their capacity, because there are skills to help the child of today that is so advanced and that have easy access to a lot of information. You have to counter it with a lot of, so you must be strategic in dealing with it.
Part of that strategy, that part of the strategic thing is what I want to ask my sergeant. We've all spoken about this. I think that we haven't created the impression that technology has deepened our adversity in the moral deficit that we are having. Technology is also an aid. Technology has always been around. It's just the upgrade of it that we are having to cope with, and what the challenges are. I mean, this is just a recent phenomenon, but for decades we know that we've been in a morass with regard to what we are doing. when we go abroad, you also see people who are using technology, but they are law abiding. There are things that will tell you that I'm not going to do this because it is not right. Yeah. But here, somebody will say, what do you mean? Do you know who I am? Do you know who my parents are? Precisely. So, in terms of the strategic approach, Sergio, one of the agencies of socialization and therefore social transformation is the media. Can we, in terms of aiding the family now as a unit to help reform values, think up ways of deploying the media much more effectively? In this case, I use the media in a generic sense. Well beyond what you are watching now on television, you're having a jingle, do this, don't do that, radio, do this, don't do that, X, Y, Z. When you listen to the kind of music that these children are listening to, what is the message therein? When you watch the kind of movies that are celebrating ritual murder, kidnapping, and all kinds of things, what are we seeing in those things? You know, songs, dance, theater. Have we started switching to those other forms of general media to enable us to ramp up our moral values and therefore have a more livable society?
Yeah, I think you are absolutely right. Let me tell you that there's an African saying, you cannot swim in a river without drinking the water. It's totally impossible. The family is a unit of society. And it is that society, and the media reflects to a large extent the society, or at least they determine what they believe society wants them to give out. You know, some of this medium you're talking about, these are money-making medium. If they determine that certain things are the ones that will bring the money, these are the things that they do. You know, we've been told quite a number of times when we're growing up, when we're in schools, you know, studying media, we are told that bad news is good news. We are told that films, for example, and plays are sold more if the more you have violence in them, the better they are in the market. The more you have sex in them, the better they are in the market. We were told it's a market forces that are driving these things. But the key thing in our society, beyond what the media is doing, beyond what technology is doing, the key thing is that we must reconfigure our society. There is too much gap between people who have and people who don't have. There is too much gap between those of us that are the members of the elite ruling class and those that are not members of the ruling class. There is too much gap, for example, at leadership level between men and women. We're configuring a society that is more exclusive rather than inclusive. And we need to re-stabilize our society, because all the anxieties that people feel that lead them to do certain things is because not just they feel excluded, but they feel that they are discriminated and disenfranchised within a system that is supposed to protect their rights.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've really done justice to this conversation to a reasonable extent, you know, but there are other matters we ought to have actually touched if we had time to do that, but now we run short of time, you know, and we have to go. But before that, we have to appreciate all of you for, you know, being part of our show this morning. We've been interested in hosting you. Mete Adekobi, Director of Special Duties and State Operations, National Orientation Agency. We thank you so much. We're hoping for a return of what we used to have about war against indiscipline those days that was so effective. And if that can happen now, you know, to address the issues we have been raising this morning. And
they are still there.
Okay, Uyim Akpabio, Executive Director, CEO, Initiatives for Ethics and Professional Studies. Thank you for being here this morning. All right, and we also have Dr. Rakia Momo Abaji. Dr. Rakia is a retired director of the Federal Civil Service, former chairman, Ajokuta Local Government Area of Kogi State, and of course, Executive Director, Kogi State Agency for Adult and Non-Formal Education. Well, that's a lot, you know, handled in the past. Yeah. You have a lot of experience. Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you so much. It's my
and
pleasure.
Of course, the only man among the ladies, you know. Ahmad Sergio, Public Affairs Analyst and former Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Adamawa State. Thank you for coming. Next is sports.
Nigerian women's table tennis star Edem Offiong lost to African #1 Dina Meshref in the final of the 2020 ITTF Africa Cup on Wednesday. The Queen of African Table Tennis defeated the Nigerian pride Edem 4-1 to claim her 4th consecutive Africa Top 16 Cup in Tunisia. Meshref also extended her impressive record over the Nigerian, who defeated another Egyptian in the semi-final to 14-1 in the process. Meanwhile, 5-time Grand Slam champion Maria Sharapova is saying goodbye to tennis at the age of 32. Sharapova said her body had become a distraction after a struggle with shoulder injuries. The Russian won her first Grand Slam at Wimbledon in 2004, aged 17, and completed the career slam all 4 major titles by winning the French Open in 2012. In 2016, she served a 15-month ban after testing positive for meldonium. After returning from her ban in 2017, Sharapova struggled to recapture her best form and suffered from a number of injuries. She has dropped to 373 in the world ranking, her lowest ranking since August 2002, and has lost in the first round of her past 3 Grand Slam tournaments. In football, Manchester City's appeal against their 2-year ban from European club competitions has been registered by the Court of Arbitration for Sports. The Premier League champions were also fined €30 million for serious breaches of UEFA's financial regulations. CAS says it is not possible to say when the matter will be resolved.
All right, that does it for us today on Good Morning Nigeria. As always, we appreciate your being with us. Wherever the rest of the day takes you, remember it begins with us on Good Morning Nigeria. We're back tomorrow, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. Until then, I'm Kingsley Isabella.
And I'm Pyrian Omayo. Have a great day.
Bros, come. The Honorable... Okay, don't worry. Don't worry. I'm thinking my...
The Big Deal Show. If I dey waka this small waka, why I dey waka? Make my mind dey ajamo. Well, I don't tell me finish, but you must be very fair. The Big Deal Show. Get ready for interesting drama series.
Go and look for my daughter. My daughter got missing, and the next thing you came home with a car.
I want you to have a son for my husband.
What? Grace, are you mad? Is something wrong with you?
Daddy, I'm not mad. And besides, the question you asked me doesn't make sense.
How dare you? How dare you sleep with my daughter?
You're the one who said you're not going to give him anything. So you get to me now. Eh? What is the problem?
You're mad. We also feature a unique contest titled Niger Voice Contest. With this contest, we want to find out the people with the most amazing natural voices in Nigeria. Prizes will be won every quarter and in the grand finale. So if you can sing, here is the opportunity that you've been waiting for to become a star. For more details, don't miss any episode of The Big Deal Show on this station. For sponsorship or advert details, please call any of the numbers on the screen. Don't miss it.
Wow. Please, you guys need to come and see this thing. So there's this guy in my area called Lord Spark. You don't see him during the day, but at night, he's very... With good laws,
proper funding,
training,
and cooperation,
if it happens,